Of stars pay tribute to a national treasure.
Hello. And later on BBC One, Alan Titchmarsh will be showing us how to fit a sprinkler attachment onto Janet Street Porter. I'm sorry, showing us how to fit a sprinkler attachment. On 2, Janet Street Porter will be looking at the plight of the elderly. This week, the various ways of combating loneliness amongst pensioners. These range from community singing to giving them their own chat show. But first, one of Britain's best-loved actresses, Richard E. Grant. I'm sorry, I skipped a line there. I've just had laser treatment in this eye. Not intentionally. The girl was doing my top lip and hiccuped. One of Britain's best-loved actresses will be coming along later, Julie Walters, star of Calendar Girls. She was the one behind the sink plunger. But first, a word from the star of some other films I haven't liked. Richard E. Grant.
Hello, and welcome to this special occasion, a BBC and Bafta tribute, where a host of celebrities have gathered together to watch an honoured few pay tribute to a living legend. And the reason for the tribute is to Victoria. Well, it's her talent, it's her ability. Put simply, it's her turn. In this show, we'll be looking at what makes Victoria the queen of British comedy. For me, it's her foul temper, bad breath, bromidrosis, varicose veins, hemorrhoidal tendencies, pomposity, snobbery, and use of the words like loofah, swarfiga, and of course, spam. If you find comic relief in everything from hysterectomies to gussets via Judith Chalmers, then you will no doubt be in for a good evening. I personally find this sort of thing below the belt and very funny. What I love about these live tributes is that the person being honoured actually gets to hear the praises being heaped upon them rather than waiting until they're already dead. Victoria is a contradiction in so many different ways. She's a comedy heavyweight in light entertainment. She's seriously funny, she's simply brilliant, and she's being honoured by her peers and can't even be bothered to show up. Well, I say that, perhaps she's a bit shy and is keeping an eye on us backstage, but she's bound to show her face in time for the vol au vents afterwards. Later on tonight, you'll be seeing just some of the highlights from Victoria's career. But first, here's a taster from Dinner Ladies to whet your appetite. Taster, Dinner Ladies, appetite. This stuff isn't just thrown together, you know.
Which ward will it be, Bran?
8.
It's mixed, isn't it?
Yes.
Might have a bit of sex. But I have to say, after Richard E. Grant, you don't really feel like bothering with a load of shagged-out pensioners.
I should be so lucky. In Dinner Ladies, Victoria proved what a talented actress she is. I, for one, feel flattered whenever my acting is likened to wood. But it's not just her acting, take her songs, or are they sketches? Well, let's just call them her sketchy songs. They highlight the fact that she's not just brilliant in one field, but brilliant in so many, many different others. One of the great things about Victoria is her longevity. I mean, it's as if she's been around forever, and I mean that in a very nice and caring and sharing way. Take a look at this.
When I think of Victoria Ward, I think witty, I think compassionate, and I think most of all, hilarious.
Now, just explain, this programme is what the BBC calls a special. That means it's 10 minutes longer than usual, and I've splashed out on a new bra.
My favourite televisions. Oh, I know them all. Katie Boyle, Sooty. I worked with Judy Chalmers before she was brown.
She got hold of my glasses and I said, nobody does that to me, bum breath.
Have you seen it on the trolley?
It's a phenomenon.
Got any 30 Genuine Biscuit surprise? Oh, I expect it. Pregnancy strength if you've got them.
Incredibly talented.
She sets herself very high standards.
Very good friend.
Different pants for different moods with me.
She just happens to be quite funny.
Welcome to the world of Sasha. Looking for my friend.
Victoria Wood is a lovely, clever, funny, shy shower.
I'm Sally Cambernold. This is Martin Crosswaite.
How are you?
Oh, shipping in already.
A properly wonderful writer.
We've had many rites of passage together.
Really and truly, there should be a new word invented for Victoria, because anything I say ain't enough.
If I'd been bedridden, I would have had the television cameras up by my bedside in order to pay this tribute to Victoria.
I don't know any Trixies. I don't know anybody. I live in a world of strangers.
She likes to get it right.
Keep at it, girl.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who's no stranger to Bafta Awards herself. You probably last saw her in Educating Rita, Billy Elliot, or the Harry Potter films. I last saw her as I was picking up my underwear, leaving her caravan. Ladies and gentlemen, Julie Walters.
Everybody. Now, Vic, I'm going to take you back, my darling. 1982, Morecambe, seafront, off-season, raining. We were looking for somewhere to eat, and we came upon this cafeteria-type place on the front with those massive great windows, you know, overlooking the sea. So, in we go. And it's one of these sort of dark wood-panelled walls and dark wooden floors. And we go in. It's completely devoid of both customers and staff. But anyway, we sit down, having a little bit of a chit-chat, you know. 10 or 15 minutes pass by. Nothing, nobody. Suddenly, we hear, ah. And in the far corner is a swing door with a porthole in it. And through the porthole comes this ancient, silver-haired waitress. She had a beautifully starched white cap with a black stripe through it, and a neat little black uniform with a crisp white pinafore. And she proceeded very slowly and sedately to walk towards us, everything creaking, the floor, her shoes, her hips. And finally, she arrived at the table. And she said, "Ready to order now?" We said back to her, we weren't speaking in unison, you understand. One of us said to her, what's the soup of the day? And of course, back she goes to the kitchen. Years later, the door opens up again. Back she comes to the table. Ready to order? And of course, we ordered 2 soups. Well, actually, what happened that afternoon was fairly unremarkable. But what came out of it was, in my opinion, one of the funniest sketches ever written. Yeah, and thank you, Phil. And you know, Vic, that is your brilliance. You have an unerring eye for people's frailty on every level, and an amazing ear for the way that they express that frailty. And I just want to say a massive thank you to you for sharing that with me and giving me an array of parts that most actresses would cut their heads off to play, because that would be very unhelpful. So bad. So, but, you know, fabulous speeches and lines. I tell you, if I had the talent to write that, I wouldn't be giving those lines to anybody else. But you are massively generous, as Richard said. I have to say, someone came up, I'm going to go in a minute, but someone came up to me the other day in Old Compton Street, funnily enough, a young man, And he said, thank you for Mrs. Overall. So, my darling, have a great night tonight, because you so deserve this. Now, here are some lovely clips from Wood and Walters.
Oh, I think I was about 18. Wood and Walters. I thought, who are these people? This is hilarious.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Or for those of you with video recorders, where did you get the money?
Well, you know, groupies, I mean, usually they want to, well, make love to, well, whoever it is.
Did they? Larry Grayson never said nothing about that.
And I kind of followed it ever since. After that, all through, as seen on TV.
That exercise thing, mnemobics. What's that? Our next door does it. We can hear it through grate. You have to clench those buttocks. Do you? She'll never get hers clenched. To take two big lads and a wheelbarrow.
Marjorie, I'm coming up. OK. If Marjorie were to let her concentration lapse for just 1 second, I could literally...
Our next door's had sex again last night.
Not again.
I mean, I like a joke, but that's twice this month.
It's so hard to define what it is about those two that makes them so perfect together. The warmth between them and the way they make each other laugh constantly and just a genuine caring about each other. You can't put your finger on it, really, what it is.
I'm sorry, could you just move away? Your breath smells.
When two things come together, they gel and the synergy's there and that's it.
Our Christmas pudding is down there somewhere, and you can be sure we shall dig till we get it. And if I find my husband as well, that's all to the good.
Do you know Vivaldi?
Been to see the Four Seasons?
Well, I prefer to think of them in the original, the Quattro Formaggi.
Comedically, they are absolutely, totally in harmony.
Hello, Karen, now you come in now. I was putting on my mousse, that's why I'm late.
I've done a plait.
It's right effective, is that? It looks great. Really great. Just because you're in television is no reason to go barging to the head of the queue like a heat-seeking missile in slingbacks. And if you did drop comatose to the floor and Live with Pam had to be replaced by soothing music and an illustration from The People's Friend, half your audience wouldn't even notice, and the other 37 would find the new version unbearably stimulating and have to lie down.
I see. Well, now that you've jeopardized the health of daytime television's most caring presenter, perhaps I could be permitted to reach by you for a wagon wheel.
They spark each other off. Julie's delivery and Vic's words are a great combination.
What about those Dublin prawns?
Never touch prawns. Do you know they hang around sewage outlet pipes, treading water with their mouths open?
There are great historic partnerships, aren't there, in comedy? Well, they're one of them. It is bliss to watch.
No, sorry. The black ones, they're a flat lace-up.
Beg pardon?
Well, those aren't flat.
Flatter now.
What's lovely about playing Vic's character is that she always lets me keep the costume. Now, who better to continue this tribute to Victoria than somebody who's been responsible for creating hugely entertaining comedy characters himself? But that's not all our next guest has in common with Victoria. Like her, he's also a highly talented writer and a truly original stand-up comic. In fact, their television career started on the very same show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very gorgeous Lenny Henry.
When I first met Victoria Wood, it was 1975, and I just won New Faces. And at the time, I firmly believed that life couldn't possibly get more exciting and glamorous. And looking around this room tonight, I see I was right. I met Vic at the Spider's Web Hotel in Watford. No towels in your room, he came out the shower and used the walls.